Austin and Shane back with another episode of 40k Fanatics Podcast.
Oh yeah.
I always feel like it'd be kind of cool if we had like the John Cena music.
Oh yeah.
Right there. But then that's John Cena's music, not ours, and so we would probably get a letter trying to stop us from making our not money that we don't make.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, it'd be bad news, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
Last week we did a movie again. I think it's out on Spotify and will be out on YouTube soon.
Yeah, it should be soon.
Yeah, we did Star Trek The Final Frontier, so go check that out. We've done a couple other movies. We've done The Matrix, and we've done Dune 1984, the original one, which was terrible. Listen, guys,
I thought it was good.
I recommend you watch The Matrix, you watch Final Frontier. Listen to us talk about Dune, and you've got enough of it. That's my opinion.
I think it's good. I think Dune is good. I'm watching Twin Peaks right now. It's almost like a Dune reunion because it's got a lot of some of the actors from Dune. So it's a lot of just David Lynch goodness. I'm over here wallowing in.
I've heard Twin Peaks is good. I mean, it was a little bit X-Files, right? Or was the
Kind of.
X-Files a little bit Twin Peaks, or were they? I can't remember if they were simultaneous.
I think Twin Peaks came first, but Twin Peaks is a lot more like paranormal, like spiritualized rather than aliens.
Well, the truth is out there somewhere. Mulder's going to find it. It's time we open up the Vox channel where we read your comments on recent podcast episodes. So if you want your stuff shouted out, read, etc., get in the comments on Spotify and YouTube. Those are the best places. Or you can join our Discord. It's totally free to join. Link below. This comment comes from YouTube, and it comes from the first of now 4 videos that I've done as hand model talking about Crusade stuff. And Petras underscore says, "Can someone explain to me what is this Crusade thing?" Well, Petras, I recommend that you watch the 3-episode playlist on our YouTube, and it will make it very clear. Hank Scorpio on the same video, 355, says, "I'm totally new to Crusade. I have access to all the books I could need, but not sure where to start. Should I start with Leviathan, then Pariah Nexus, and then Nachman Gauntlet? I also have my army's codex." Hank Scorpio, you start with whatever Crusade book you want. That's the way it works. You can go backwards and forwards. There is no... I mean, I suppose you could even run them simultaneously if you felt like it. As long as you've got other people that feel like playing Crusade, any of those books will be excellent. So, those are my recommendations there. But Austin, I've got more comments. These come from Spotify. Does Warhammer 40k need a reboot? Our most recent episode where I said that we should reboot it like Batman. Dave and Company, frequent contributor to the pod, says, "As a former reader of comics, I totally get the reboot. Crisis, 0 Hour, New 52, etc. The factors of too much baggage slash continuity, changing creative minds and changing audience makes such things necessary or perhaps even inevitable. I think GW might have a good idea. There is no canon. Since we don't even know what year it is or can't disentangle the real from chaos, I think we don't need a rigid canon. Since it's a sandbox game, people have their own ideas anyway." That's got to speak to you big time.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the right way to go about some of this stuff with 40k, especially if Games Workshop wants to kind of like take and drop some things from it. I think that's the way to go about it. Is just go, oh well, that's everything's canon, but it's not canon.
Yeah, I was thinking some more about this.
Just muddy the waters.
Yeah, I was thinking more about this. Let me read the next comment, because there's one more that I'm going to read. This is by Nerd Bro, new contributor. I don't think we've seen him. Also on the same pod in Spotify. And he says, "I don't think they should add female Space Marines. Rather, have Call figure out how to give Sisters of Battle enhanced gene seed," which I like that idea too. Now, excuse me. I inhaled a 6-inch Subway ham sandwich just before we turned this on. I was thinking about this because I tend to advocate for a little bit more of a modern, just some modernization of a lot of the things in 40k. And I was thinking, why do I do that? Why do I give a damn? Because I'm not much of, I'm not. Let's just say I'm not big on the DEI thing. However, what I dislike as 40k is about to go mainstream to a point that will be that there's going to be a lot of scrutiny upon 40k when all of the normies get here. And I think that fandoms are littered throughout history with the normies showing up and they might as well be space aliens coming down and taking a look at these IPs and saying, "Well, that's a little weird. I don't know about that." And then we scream and wave our arms and the normies go away or dislike us or put enough pressure just by their number that the creators of these things then knee jerk and overcorrect in a way that alienates us. I just think it'd be good if 40k could get itself positioned in a way that when the Amazon TV shows, when the ever bigger video games come out, that it's in a good spot to be easily consumed by the uninitiated. That way, we could just have more people to talk about 40k to and less people to defend it to.
I don't know about that.
Well,
I feel like there's a thing with kind of, I don't want to say dumbing down, but kind of just getting to the lowest denominator of just basic consumer that a lot of things suffer from when they go through that. If everything's made for everyone, nothing is special.
I agree with that. Not everything can be everything, which is fine. To me, it's more like, you know, stupid questions. Like if we just end up fielding a whole bunch of questions of, are they all Nazis? It's like, no, they're not all Nazis. Like, that would make me tired after a bit. Like, I would
Mhm.
only have so many. I don't even know if they're still around, Huffington Post or GQ articles in me that I could read about, is 40k just a fascist Nazi propaganda thing? It's like, oh, come on. Like, you don't get the allegory, you don't get the satire, and of course they don't. But anyway, I digress. Perhaps a pod for another day. But that's the Vox channel. Get in there and let us know what you think, and comment on other people's stuff too. Try not to fight, but if you want to, that's fine too. None of my business what happens in the YouTube comments, is it? Over on the
Nope.
Discord, join us. We don't fight in there. It tends to be really lovely. A lot
Very
of
civil.
Yeah, a lot of people having fun in there, man. Can't beat it. It's time to open up the Bits box. The Bits box is a part of the show where we talk about what we've done in the miniature wargaming hobby this week, or possibly in the saltwater aquarium hobby, or in golf, because I've been playing a lot of golf. It's prime golf season. It's not too hot. We've got a couple here in Arkansas in the United States. Oh, America. That is in the south thereof. It is very nice. It's like 70 degrees and sunny, touching 80 every now and then. These are Fahrenheit, folks. And we've got maybe 2 more weeks of this before it's 100 and the whole exercise becomes a survival thing.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of, but I have had time to do a bit of painting. But how about you?
Oh, I've been painting. I was just painting up until the start of this podcast.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, doing some goblins getting their green skin on.
I
Green
cannot
skin for the green
wait.
skin.
I cannot wait to play our first game where I believe we may be. I mean, I know I'm going to be fully painted, and I think you're going to be near as makes no difference fully painted. I understand you have a.
There's gonna be paint. There's gonna be some sort of paint on everything.
Yeah, yeah. All the goblin faces are going to be green, and that's going to be, all the little spear tips will be silver, I imagine. And
Yeah.
And we've decided that we're going to play our first game in public. We're going to pick a busy day at the friendly local game store and just bum rush the joint with all our old world glory
Hmm.
as I figure out how the heck to even play the thing.
Yeah.
But it will be
I
a
feel like
sight to behold.
I think I need to get a game in to really get the hobby going. I need those motivative juices going.
Yeah, you know, for
Going, oh,
me,
oh man,
for me, it's really the looking forward to it because now that we've decided to make it a bit of an event, you know, because
yeah.
the FOMO is going to be real. People are going to be coming by and looking at my chariots. They're going to be looking at your metal squig hoppers and things, and you've got spider riders too, aren't they metal as well?
No, they're plastic. I'm not fielding them yet because I don't have a movement tray for them yet. So I'm
Oh,
not. They're built, but I haven't even touched them like primer or anything because I'm still in the process of trying to get a movement tray for them because their bases are a little weird. They're not exactly the size of cavalry bases. They're like 1 millimeter off. So putting them in like a regular movement tray wouldn't work. It'd be a little loose. So I was going to try to find one that fits them exactly. It shouldn't be like enough of a difference to impact gameplay very much because everyone has to stay like an inch away.
sure.
Uh, so it shouldn't cause any problems there. It's just I want a movement tray that actually fits them.
Yeah, and I've got to get some movement trays. You shared a source with me last pod, I think it was, um, and I can't recall what it is, but I did look, and it is the Getting Spot. Maybe we'll
Oh
put
yeah,
it down in the
yeah.
description, that link again. I've been slowly painting my latest dozen high elf archers, and these guys. So I did a very North Carolina Tar Heels light blue on the first whole. Basically, I've done one unit at a time with everything, but I've got enough stuff to make 2 units of everything. And so now
Mhm.
I'm through one rotation, and I'm beginning the second rotation. Uh, or no, in fact I've already got 2 units of spearmen. And in these guys, I took my blue airbrush pass and dropped it down one notch. So these are all darker ever so slightly than the first bunch to just give a little bit of variety and make it so that you can actually sort them out. But
Mhm.
I've, I'm kind of doing 6 at a time. But then if I don't have very long, I'll do 3 at a time of doing batch painting steps. I'm really disliking batch painting, it seems. Uh, I have, however, just yesterday picked up from the friendly local game store the High Elf Lords box, which has the mounted and foot Lord, and I'm looking forward to building and painting those guys because I'll just get to do what I really like to do, which is paint single characters, and
Oh yeah.
that should at that point I think I'll have enough to field something like 1,000 points, so we'll be able to mix it up.
Yeah. It'll be a fun time. Are you ever? Did you ever get dice?
I have not got dice. I have many regular dice, but I need a scatter and a artillery, I think.
Uh, well, I'm not sure if you need those for your elves because I'm not sure if you really have anything that scatters or needs artillery dice.
Well, I have those bolt thrower things, but I don't know if they use an artillery die or not. I don't even know where you
Uh,
would look that up.
no, that I believe they just use the they just rolled a hit.
Oh, well. Then I've got hundreds of dice. And I think to play Old World you need something like 10.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different world than the 40k. Or is it? Close the bits box. I I have just offered the greatest segue that 40k Fanatics podcast has ever witnessed. Because
Mhm.
today, in our main topic, we are discussing. You brought this one. What exactly are you calling this?
Uh, does the warp connect all of the Warhammer games?
I'm going to jump in right quick and say 100% it does. And I
Okay.
and and I and I think you've got some evidence, you've got some theorizing, you've got notes. Folks, man has notes. We took the YouTube editing off his plate and then he rocked up here with notes. He wants to work hard. He wants to work for your love. He's Bruce Springsteen. He's the boss.
Oh yeah.
Lead us off, Austin. Tell us about this.
So one thing that connects both Warhammer 40k and the Warhammer Fantasy Age of Sigmar settings is that they both share a realm of chaos. They both have an extra dimensional area that contains the chaos gods, and they have major gods Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, and Tzeentch. Both settings have that. Uh, the idea that we are bringing forth today is that the warp is sort of a way to connect both game settings as sort of like an intermediate tunnel.
Now, is it both game settings or all three game settings? Because I know that people say that Age of Sigmar has nothing to do with 40k and therefore nothing to do with Old World. But
Well,
but
Old World and Sigmar are the same setting.
that's what you're right. That's what I thought. Because the Age of Sigmar thing is something to the effect of Sigmar appeared and then went and basically did the same thing that the Emperor of Mankind did, which is destroy the entirety of reality by one way or the other, right? And I've
Not
always
really. No, it's if you've seen kind of the discussion we have about
yes,
rebooting 40k, people talking about basically do it ways they could jump the timeline and have everyone basically everyone loses and reset everything with that 10,000 years. Age of Sigmar is essentially what if you did that but for Warhammer Fantasy. It's kind
right.
of like the far future of Warhammer Fantasy.
Well, see, I watched a very good lore video once about Age of Sigmar to figure out just what even it is, and it talked about how um, the subtext of it seemed to me to be, and I'm sure the lore heads will get in here and dispute this. It's as if the Emperor has passed, and then his consciousness sort of reappears in a new reality dimension, etc., and is Sigmar. That was the way
No,
that it felt.
what it is the good guys, basically the last alliance. If you think of like Lord of the Rings, you have all the good guys, all the good races, trying to fight chaos at the end of Warhammer Fantasy.
Uh-huh.
The end times have come. Chaos is going to destroy the world, and in the end, the good guys lose, and the world is engulfed by chaos and destroyed. The planet blows up, and Sigmar, who was a god in the world that was the old world, uh, he had been reborn. I could go through a whole episode just Sigmar, but essentially, he comes back in kind of like an avatar form, and he's blown up in the world as it blows up, and he is stuck clutching to the center, like the core of the world, along with Archaon, and they're both wrestling over Sigmar's hammer as as the core like hurtles through space, and then Age of Sigmar picks up as the chaotic energies and magic slowly coalesce back into kind of reality
The
and
mortal
forming
realms, as they call it.
different pocket worlds,
I see.
the different realms. We're getting kind of we're getting into a different tangent
So,
going into that.
sure. So, yes, does 40k, Old World, slash sort of on a tangent, Age of Sigmar, all connect through the warp. So, I have been told that the Old World, where Bloodbowl is played, where the Old World that we're going to play is fought.
Blood Bowl's a different universe
Okay. Why?
because Blood Bowl takes place in an alternate Warhammer fantasy where uh, conflict is settled through Blood Bowl, and it takes place in a universe in which the dwarves uncovered a chest containing essentially the rules to American football, and then created the game of Blood Bowl, and the whole world became enamored with Blood Bowl.
Huh.
It's its own thing. It doesn't take place in Warhammer Fantasy proper.
See, I always felt like that it was just if you just draw a line and you could just put Blood Bowl somewhere, and then you could put Old World further on or further before. But they say that's not what's happening.
It's its own little universe,
That is so
its own
bizarre.
setting. Blood Bowl.
Okay, all right. Continue laying out your thesis.
Okay. Because like we just turn this whole podcast into what games take place in what setting.
I mean,
Uh,
it is worth discussing.
we'll save that for a future episode. But
Yep.
so you've got gods existing in both universes, in the fantasy and in the science fiction 40k. And the idea is that chaos is kind of its own thing and is able to reach out into these other worlds and influence them. And that if you were to say go from say 40k, if you were to enter into the warp, you could potentially find your way into Warhammer Fantasy by, I guess, opening the right door in in the warp, say the realm of chaos. That's the idea, is that they kind of, there's the potential for that crossover to happen, and it has crossed over before in the lore.
Has it?
Yes, I have examples of this.
Give me some.
So I think
That's fascinating. I was going to say, it's interesting how what I'm imagining is Doom Guy, because the new Doom
yeah.
is going to be Doom Medieval. Have you seen this?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if it's a prequel or if Doom Guy has gone through the hell chaos realm thing, which is it's sort of the immaterium even in that, which Doom and 40k are coming from the same spot, from the same time. Like these are all borrowed ideas, I believe. I don't know who borrowed from who, but they're very similar. If Doom Guy's not a space marine, I don't know what is. But anyhow, the demons in 40k are clearly able to just go through door number 1, door number 2, door number 3, and they either pop out in Old World, or they pop out in Age of Sigmar, or they pop out in 40k. Apparently at their whim. A Great Unclean One pops up just the same in Age of Sigmar and 40k.
Yeah, they share the same demons.
Yeah, they share
and
the
even the
same models,
even named characters.
yes, exactly. And that's awesome. But it seems like every time a ship goes through the warp, all manner of bad things can happen. They can be time displaced. They can be displaced in space. They can be destroyed. They can be held there in the war for eons, right? But they always get spat back out into their appropriate sci-fi time.
Yeah.
Except apparently in these examples that you're about to cite.
Yeah. It's a lot more kind of rare. It's not like you're able to just send a whole marine company over into the old world or anything like that. It's kind of like little discrepancies that happen. There's one thing that in the earlier editions of Warhammer Fantasy, a lot of the times you were able to get out your Chaos Lord with things that maybe they should not be able to have.
Oh?
Like they might be able to be gifted by their patron god a chainsword.
Really?
And we've seen this pop up again recently in the Total War games and Total War Warhammer 3. An item that you can get from a quest to give your general is a chainsword. If you're doing chaos, if you're doing the chaos campaign, you can gain a chainsword.
Wow.
I don't know about you, but chainsaws aren't usually a thing in fantasy.
No, and especially the chainsword is deeply a 40k thing, and for it to
Yes,
pop up in the old world is some little bloodthirster has chopped up a space marine somewhere in the 41st millennium, was gnawing on his arm when whoever whatever greater demon of corn was like, okay, time to go home, and he's like, oh wait, oh oops, I've popped back into chaos with a chainsword still in my mouth. At some point, it works its way through to an armory. Somebody decides that Chaos Lord down there in the old world, he's doing pretty good. What should we give him? We've got this laying around.
Yeah,
Toss it to him. That's
yeah.
incredible.
And they could get now. All these things were mostly named differently, but they were kind of like implications of what they were. You could get like I think there's like Gauntlet of Power, which is obviously a power fist,
Yes.
and there was definitely not power armor, stuff like that. There were these things that were like, is this what I think it is?
It sure seems like it. That's
It was
fascinating.
all, but it was all for chaos. So it's kind of like chaos kind of has that cross contamination going on.
You know what? It makes sense though, doesn't it? Because like we have our demon primarchs, so it would stand to reason that they can probably travel in and out of chaos, out of the warp, out of possibly in and out of time, just the same as Rodigus might.
Mm.
But they tend not to because they've got personal vendettas and whatnot. But that
Yeah,
is
and
fascinating.
there's a book called the Liber Chaotica. It was a kind of a in-universe book Games Workshop published that was sort of the ramblings of a Sigmarite priest who was kind of like writing a tome about chaos. And as he writes through it, he gets more and more kind of he kind of goes insane, kind of examining chaos and writing a book about it.
Oh, that's neat.
Uh, and in there, he's describing weapons of the Chaos Warriors, kind of like famous weapons, and one of them is the chainsword. It has a image of the chainsword, and it looks like a demonic chainsword.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
And also in this book, he has a vision of the realm of Slanesh, and in it, he has visions of noise marines and the Emperor's children.
And and in old world, Slanesh is not around yet, right?
No, Slanesh is around.
Okay. When does the creation of Slanesh happen that it matters? It happens.
Slanesh has always existed in the old world.
Okay. And in 40k, it's referenced with regard to the Eldar. Yes. Which then
Yes, and I
it,
have a thing.
which is
I
in
have
the
another note about this.
okay, which is in the way before, out in
So,
space during the old world, I suppose, or even before.
so yeah, this guy, this priest, he's talking about the Emperor's children. He's describing how he can't. He's going crazy because he can't comprehend how men, elves, or dwarves could even go up against these hulking warriors in like giant armor and these hulking like steel vehicles, referring to either land raiders or uh, rhinos.
All of it.
And he looks like he describes Fulgrim as well, talking about their leader being a champion of Slanesh.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Um, I got a question here. So, I
Yeah.
mean that's a compelling case for the possibility of the connection between the old world and 40k and Age of Sigmar.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe this is off topic, but where is oh no, what's his name? I lost it. It was there and I lost it. The God of Death dude.
Nagash.
Nagash. Where's Nagash in 40k?
He's not in 40k.
I know. But he was in Old
'Cause he's
World, no?
an old.
Because we had him with
We're at,
his ridiculous hat.
because he was a priest. I believe he was a priest. I'm not too familiar on Tomb Kings, but he was like a Tomb King guy.
So he was like a
He,
living person in Old World at that
he was a
stage.
living person. He's the one that created necromancy.
I see. And
He
then
invented necromancy,
in Age of Sigmar, there is
and
some
then
sort of divergence where he has ascended into some sort of divine being.
Yeah. We're gonna either have to do a full discussion or a full episode on how what I guess the end times and explaining what happened with the end times in Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because I mean, I find it hard to keep up with, and the reason why I do, and I can't be the only one, is the Eldar and the Necrons cause stuff to be difficult because they are so ancient that if you look, let's just do this. If we put Old World at year 0, and then we put 40k out around 40,000 years, then you end up with Necrons and Eldar and stuff, and they're like negative 2,000, right? They're or negative 40,000. They're so far in the past before anything happens, and yet when we talk about lore in 40k, the Eldar and the Drukhari and the Necrons and a little bit the Orcs might as well have happened yesterday,
Mm.
and it causes me all the confusion.
Yeah. So if there's any confusion about like timelines for Old World and Sigmar and then 40k and how they might interact with the warp, one thing to keep in mind is that if there is no time in the warp.
Right. Yeah, no, that is a crucial part. So I mean,
So there's like does not equal when looking at the timelines.
right. Right. The warp can do anything at once.
Uh, because I'll go into my next thing talking about a White Dwarf article that released a couple years ago.
Yes.
And someone asked if the warp is the same in fantasy and 40k, and it's kind of I think it's Ask Grombrindle. It's Grombrindle. He's the White Dwarf. He's the mascot of the White Dwarf. He's a fantasy character, and he goes in and answers the question and does say they are connected.
Well, there you go.
I was gonna say this for last, but I feel like talking about timelines and stuff not working out. So Grombrindle says they are connected and they share the gods, and talks about how Slanesh was created in 40k,
Right. Oh, but not
and
created in Old
so here's
World.
the thing:
But
because
they run parallel and they connect.
there's no time in the warp. So when Slanesh is created in 40k, that causes Slanesh to have always existed.
Oh yes, I see what you're saying.
So it's kind of a paradoxical situation, which because Slanesh was created in 40k, then that kind of retroactively makes Slanesh having always existed
Yeah, the part
across universes.
there's a little Back to the Future part of this that I always struggle with, and I'm not sure if it makes sense in the breadth of this discussion. But either you either have linear time or you have multiple timelines, i.e., a multiverse.
Yeah.
I am always hesitant ever since the MCU has done their multiverse thing, which I find to be exhausting. And because it there are knock-on effects, unintentional knock-on effects of a multiverse, okay? Um and my brain very much wishes to have the old world be a time on a continuous line that does its thing, yada yada. Age of Sigmar, if it wants, can snap down to another parallel line. But the old world happens, and then eventually you have the Dark Age of Humanity, our modern times, Dark Age of Humanity, Horus Heresy, 40k, all on one line. But I don't think that's what we're doing.
No, it's
We've got
kind of like if you have these alternate timelines going on with the different worlds.
Yep.
And then all connected is the warp. And
Yep.
if you want like entry points in from the warp, it's just a big long bar connecting it because you could jump in and jump out like wherever since there's no time in the warp.
Right. Basically, you have you just have in the I mean I guess you have four if Blood Bowl is its own entire thing. So you've got four parallel lines, and they're all running. They do not intersect. But then you have a circle of chaos, and you can draw a line from it to any of the lines at any point from anywhere.
Yeah.
The chaos can jump from one to the next. It doesn't care. No rules for it.
And during the end times, it's implied that chaos has been destroying like numerous realities.
Yeah, and then that's when we get into the. I mean, I guess it is just a multiverse, and I have to accept that, but I hate it because when we were discussing last week about should 40k be rebooted, it makes it such light work to reboot stuff, and I hate that. Because they could just decide tomorrow. I was like, well, we're gonna go and we're gonna zoom out and zoom back in on a new timeline that you didn't know existed, and nothing ever mattered, and everything goes on. And if one reality is destroyed, then a whole other reality exists, and all the billions of people and stuff, they don't really matter because there's infinite other realities. And it's like, well,
I mean,
then
I think
what are we doing all this for?
one way to look at it is it's not saying like we are existing in a multiverse. That's not the thing to really key on with it. It's that it's kind of an ecosystem. It's like we've got we definitely have these settings and games. It's not really needing to step back and look at the multiverse. Just acknowledging that yeah, these games seem to have some kind of connection going on with them all. It's not the big picture that they're connected.
Sure. I do wish the old world was like in a time so ancient when all these various races lived, and then they all died out from various things, the end times, etc. And we were left with the broken husk of a planet of Terra.
It,
And then
the original theory was
and then
that
the dinosaurs came, and then the cavemen happened, and then you run the clock forward through our modern time and stuff, and then it's like, oh, but wait, way back in the super ancient, there were orcs on the Earth, and then there were orcs in space, and you get this nice little connecting Easter egg of,
yeah.
oh, this stuff has always been. I think that's so much neater. It's real cool, but and also it's a nice package for conceptualization.
The original theory that was going around way back in 40k or Warhammer in general was that Warhammer Fantasy took place inside the universe of Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
Did I say the old world or?
You said Warhammer Fantasy.
Okay, yeah. Warhammer Fantasy takes place in Warhammer 40k, but it takes place inside a world trapped in the Eye of Terror. So
Oh,
it's covered in a warp storm,
well, that's kind of neat.
and Sigmar is a lost Primarch.
Yeah, I'm not mad
That
at
was
that.
one. That's one theory that was going around to explain kind of the discrepancies going on. Uh, I do have another connection that's kind of a bit more solid
Okay,
with a cameo of a 40k character in a Warhammer Fantasy book.
let's hear it.
So this is from the Kane book for the end times for Warhammer Fantasy,
Okay.
and there's the Wood Elves are going into the realm of chaos to go rescue. Trying to see if I can pronounce this right. Shalia, one of the goddesses from the mansion of Nurgle,
Okay.
and you have Erloth. He's like a king of the Wood Elves. There's a Wood Elf prince, I think. He is leading a band into uh, the realm of chaos, and while they're in there, and they're fighting demons and stuff, and going through all the chaos stuff, they encounter a hulking knight in silver armor
Yeah.
who has strange speech, and he is able to fire blue fire from his hands.
Yo, the dude. Oh, that's terrible of me. The Grey Knight's dude.
Aldor Drago.
Yes.
He talks about he has made a name amongst himself in the realm of chaos, fighting demons.
There's no doubt. And is he named in the book?
He's not named, but he's kind of heavily implied to be Caldor
So
Drago.
they just see him. They don't actually interact with him?
He joins the band
Oh, wow.
as they're going through. Yeah, he like waves his hand and fire erupts, blue fire erupts and demons explode. Maybe a storm bolter.
Yeah, or whatever crazy psychic power
Oh,
that he's got.
hmm
Incredible.
and he ends up, I believe, he gets impaled on a spear by demons, and the wood elves are like trying to help him, but they're told, "No, go on. He's basically done this before. They can't hurt him."
That's real badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that'd be interesting for him to not like give away his identity and things, or to say anything about himself, because he's probably
hmm
done that. Again, Back to the Future type stuff many, many times, where you come across some people out of time with yourself.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I
So
believe I was
when
gonna say, I believe it.
when we're playing Old World, I can bring some Chaos Space Marines. Is what you're telling me?
Yeah. Say they have come out of the realm of chaos.
What does one Chaos Lord do on an Old World table? Like that that's
I,
that's like Superman showing up, right?
yeah, that would be like ultimate boss battle.
Oh my gosh. It'd be so cool.
Not sure what you could really do against him outside of magic.
We would have to look at your Rogue Trader book and sort that
hmm
out. That's like the old create a character rules where you have to use the toughness chart and things.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, this has been epic. Do you have more?
I think that's most of my notes. I mean, there's other connections out there, but I haven't really brought them up.
Wow. I like it. Um Age of Sigmar is a bit of a weird one to me because of the way it functions with all, like you say, with all the little pocket dimension things. And the reason I think that's weird is because of the way that it appears all factions are always on all pocket dimensions, so that everybody can play.
It's
That
less pocket dimensions and more like they're they're worlds, kind of like coalesced spheres of magic that float inside a kind of heavenly or just a void of magic. It's kind of like the solar system,
yeah,
kind of like all the realms are planets in a solar system, and you can use the realm gates to travel to the different realms. Or I believe if you try hard enough, like the Caradrons, you might be able to just fly to other realms if you can survive like going through pure magic.
interesting.
I haven't looked too hard into Age of Sigmar in a while.
Well, I mean, that kind of thing makes sense for the Stormcast and the Caradrons and some of the and maybe even the Water Elf dudes. It makes less sense for the um oh my gosh, I can't think of any words today. I've not been up long enough. The flesh eater courts. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes less sense for them. They just seem to be, you know, gate. They don't know nothing about any gate. See stuff will eat. But I don't know. Perhaps the intergalactic maps and things are intentionally not what Age of Sigmar is trying to do,
Yeah.
which I appreciate them in 40k. I always like how they're two dimensional. Isn't that funny?
hmm Yeah.
Well,
Look how close these two planets are. It's like, well, actually, if you look in 3D space, they're like way far apart. You just look at them from top down.
yeah. But they don't often mention that in the.
Their vertical distance is separate from their horizontal distance.
Every now and then, when they really want to make it seem dire, they're like, and the Tyranids are coming not from the sides, but also from the bottom and the top.
Ah, 3 dimensions.
Bum, bum, bum. That's been Austin laying out the connections between Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k. And I like it. I wish it weren't parallel lines. I just, time is big, right? I mean, if they were going to do some retconning of any sort, I wish it were that. Put all this stuff on one line somehow. I don't care how convoluted it's got to be. Because I always fear the possibility of, so since we've got a multiverse, over here we have the anime style Space Marine world and all the stories therein. Like, get out of here with that. Nobody wants that. Which, let's be honest, it could happen that when the Amazon TV show come out and things, they're like, well, this is the Kelvin timeline of 40k. And people will be upset.
Yeah.
Until next time, don't forget to
Stay fanatical.